read from, Town Hall asked me. Well, I said, I'm not going to read, I'm going to talk. What will it be your subject? I will talk about money and what a good thing it is to have some. I'll talk about success, I'm for that. About good people, good to have them around. About no good, helps break the knot. I'll talk about the weather, what it does to you, what it does for you. I'll talk about how to get in the movie. I'll talk about a good place to go to get a part in a play. I'll talk about places I like and places I'm not quite comfortable in. I'll talk about what an actor needs. I'll give a suggestion from William James. I'll give some suggestions from Thornton Wilder. And I'll talk about pornography, what it does to you and for. This, of course, has to be the instant version because we have the hall for only a noun. What will you call your talk, Town Hall asked me? I'll call it Working on It. Working on it covers all those subjects. I learned about working on it in the movies. When you're shooting a movie, from time to time the director calls out, "Charlie!" And from way off, beyond all the bright lights, a voice answers, "Working on it." Well, maybe he is. Maybe he is. And maybe he's catching up with a little life of his own. Maybe he's collecting himself off there in the shadows behind some loose scenery. Maybe he and some co-workers are having a little game of poker, shooting little crap. Well, maybe that's working on it too. And I think that's like me. I'm working on it and people holler out, do this, do that, be there, be here, write this, write that, get it in now, get it in then, pay your bills, pay your taxes. Working on it. Cultivate the cheerful attitude, says William James. Working on it. I think Thornton Wilder says it a little bit more for my money. Be for things, he says. Don't be against things, like things, try to like things. Thornton is a big bestseller in Germany, and so from time to time he throws in a few German words. Like things, he said, before them, be a Ja-Sager. I don't spell that out because I spelled it out in an interview, and the interviewer made fun of me. Call it small of me, but I don't like to be made fun of. So I'm working on it, but I don't think I'm ever going to win that one. I think I'm never going to be for being made fun of. I like things. I like being here today. I like Town Hall. That, to me, is an acquired taste. I had to work on that. The first time I came here, it was to hear the great stage director, Tyrone Guthrie. I liked it, but to me it was inconsistent. Me to be sitting out there and Tyrone Guthrie up here. I think with Tyrone Guthrie pacing up and down the aisles, me and a bunch of actors up here, and him showing us how to do it. That's what I really feel comfortable about, but I liked it when he was here. The same with Lillian Hellman. See, to me, Lillian belongs out there watching a bunch of us actors perform one of her great plays. And she should be out there thinking up some more plays. But anyhow, I liked it. I liked Town Hall, but I had to learn to. But what I really like, what isn't an acquired taste, I really like this neighborhood. This is my part of town. This is where I belong. This is what I left home for. I didn't leave home to go in the theater. I left home to go on the stage. And for people who go on the stage, this is their part of town. This block is where I learned to collect myself. Up the street, a little further towards 6th Avenue, the place was called Drake's. You could go in Drake's, you could sit down at a table, and the waiter never gave you the business. You could sit there, you could collect yourself. An actor needs to know a place like that. Over on 42nd Street, going to Cohen and Harris, no casting today. Go into Al Woods, Mr. Woods is gone to Europe, won't be back for a month. Go over to the Morosco Theater, Oliver Morosco's just looking for redheads. Go in to ask Mr. Arthur Hopkins, are you casting today, Mr. Hopkins? Didn't even answer. So when you get enough of that, when your board bill is sneaking up on you, actors need a place to collect themselves. And that was Drake's up the street. We need to know breath control. We need to know how to put on a straight makeup. We need to know all the fundamental rules. Cross on the line. Don't say the line, then cross. Don't cross, then say the line. Cross on the line. We need to know that. So we have to know a place to collect. Now, sometimes, you need a little bit more than what you got at Drake's. On the table at Drake's, there's a big bowl of sugar with a spoon sticking in, and beside it was a basket of poppy seed, cinnamon, and rolls with coconut frosting on it. And for 10 cents, you could get a cup of coffee, and it did come in a cup, no mug, a cup, a saucer, a little tiny jug of cream went with it, and for 10 cents you could have that and eat every roll of it. Sometimes, you need to lose something more. And so, down the block, a little bit more toward Broadway, was Mr. Weineke's. Mr. Weineke made good ham and eggs. He fixed a great corned beef sandwich. Mrs. Weineke made her own pickles. The food was good, the food was cheap, and that wasn't easy to do. And it occupied all Mr. Weineke's time, and he really didn't have time to keep up with the president. A customer going out would say, I dropped a dime. If you find it, it's mine. Mr. Weineke would think for a minute and say, he wasn't in today. Next customer over there would say, any hot mustard, Weineke? Mr. Weineke would think a minute and say, did you look under the chair? I don't need William James to suggest or Thornton Wilder to suggest which is more important to an actor. Financially, at times, a little out of joint. Which is more important, to get the right answers to the right questions or get some good food you can afford? Of course, Weineke's was great, Drake's was great, but what we all left home for were the theaters. I love all the theaters, but my favorite theater is the theater across the street. I don't know what it's called, but to me, it was the Henry Miller Theater. It is the Henry Miller Theater. It will always be the Henry Miller Theater. Mr. Henry Miller was the perfect actor, but Henry Miller was the perfect director. So when he built his own theater, he built the perfect theater. If you've ever been to the Haymarket in London, it was like that. Any kind of a comedy went beautifully. You could be heard. It was just great. Mr. Henry Miller was handsome, but a lot of actors were handsome then. But where Mr. Henry Miller stood alone and was unique, in the whole of show business, nobody had such a short temper. About anything you could think of irritated him. And most of the time it did. They had a matinee across the street one Wednesday. Big kid show, the famous Mrs. Thayer. He had directed it. He was the co-star. Sell out every performance. The matinee was going beautifully. 3 lovely acts, and 1 more to go. The end of the 3rd act, Mr. Henry Miller came off the stage, started to stroll into his dressing room, and in passing said to his stage manager, "Won't go on again, give them back their money." What say you? Why? But not Mr. Henry Miller's stage manager, nor any of the rest of his staff. They knew Mr. Henry Miller's short temper, and they didn't tamper with that. But not his co-star, Miss Blanche Bates, the original Madame Butterfly, the original girl of the Golden West. She went right to his dressing room door, knocked on it. "Henry," she said, didn't wait for him to say, "Come in." Went in. "Henry, what is this?" "Don't like the audience." Well, I guess he probably didn't. Pandemonium at the box office, because Wednesday afternoon around 4, the banks all closed. One usher was sent to Mr. Weineke's to get some cash. One was sent to Drake's to get some cash. And the box office man put his hat on and rushed over to Mr. Frank Case's Algonquin, and somewhere they collected enough money. All the matinee ladies held out their white-gloved hands, were given $2, and they had all seen 3 wonderful acts. Only a half hour of the 4th act to go. But Mr. Henry Miller didn't like the audience. Well, how do you get away with that? I don't know what William James would suggest. I don't know what Thornton would. But I suggest you have to be handsome. But that and I suggest you have to be the perfect director. And I suggest you have to be the perfect actor. And certainly, you have to have a short temper. What I guess really lets you get away with it is, if your name is Henry Miller and you own your own theater. Played over there when Henry Miller was running it, but I have appeared at the Henry Miller Theater twice. I made a kind of a hit over at the Modern Deck in Philip Barry's play, Hotel Universe. I was getting some offers, and I was saying no to this one and no to that. I don't know what got into me, Mr. Willis. He offered me, the Greeks had a word for it, no, ran a year. No, I said, no, I said. I kept saying no so much that I suddenly noticed it was Labor Day, and I didn't have an engagement. Wow. Oh. It was the silky voice of rich, rich Janie Stanford. Darling, she said, drive out to Piping Rock with me, and let's watch Laddie. His team is playing polo. Well, would you think that's where to get a part in a play? Not me. But the thing about me is, I'm a slow learner. I am a slow learner, but working on it. From the next box at Piping Rock, a voice said, "What are you doing, dear?" It was Mr. Gilbert Miller, son of Henry Miller, his heir, and now the owner of the theater. Well, I said, I'm watching Laddie play polo. No, dear, he said, have you found a play? I'm owning the Henry Miller Theater with Monod's new comedy, 1, 2, 3. And if you liked it, I would put on Mona's one actor, the Violet, for the curtain raiser. Well, across the street at the Henry Miller opening night, the curtain came down on the Violet. The applause was how they describe sometimes thunderous applause. It really was. In those days, people didn't cheer. They didn't stand up and give you an ovation. But they applauded fine, and that was all in that applause. And through the pass door came Mr. Gilbert Miller, looking distracted. My God, he said, the curtain raiser going like that. How can 1, 2, 3 follow? And then he looked at me. I suddenly remembered his father's short. Gilbert had inherited the theater. Had he inherited his father's theater? He looked at me, glared at me. Jesus Christ, he said, I don't know whether to kill you or kiss you. That was my time at the Miller Theater. I came there in a play again through the generosity of Helen Hayes. She'd been out to Westport to see me in summer stock play William Wycherley's play, The Country Wife, and Helen thought I ought to have a chance to do that in New York. Well, that wasn't easy. William Wycherley was a fella who wrote a play with a lot of scenery. He could have taken a suggestion maybe from Thornton Wilder, whose own play, Without Any Scenery, Our Town, had its first performance across the street at the Henry Miller. But Mr. William Wycherley maybe liked scenery. You had 15 sets in The Country Wife, lots of actors, and lavish costumes. At least they'd have to be lavish if we were going to do it on Broadway. Well, all the managers said no, but Helen persisted. She thought, I ought to have that opportunity to be seen in that in New York. And Helen Hayes put up $20,000 of her own money and persuaded Gilbert Miller to put up $20,000 of his. We opened at the Old Vic in London, a triumph, and next stop, across the street, the Henry Miller. I talk about good people, and good people describes Helen Hayes. And I said, some no-goods. Kind of break up the monotony. Well, there was a no-good. He had his office a block behind us on 44th Street. It was the Billy Shine Agency, and when the movies over in Fort Lee and places, when they wanted extras for the mob scene, they called up Mr. Billy Shine, and he engaged the extras. Well, I'd gotten to New York the 1st of August. I told all my friends I'm going to New York to go on the stage. Well, that's easier to say than it is to do. And the 1st of August got to be the 1st of September, and I still didn't have anything. I did a little bit of extra work whenever I could get it, because that helped the board bill. Then the 1st of September got in to be the 1st of October. Dear daughter, my father wrote me, any profession that doesn't offer me a berth in this time, I would deem it wise to seek another profession. Well, what an actor needs is a place to collect himself, a place to know where to put on the straight makeup, breath control, learn how to cross on the line. But even more important than that, what he needs is to learn never take sensible advice.
This was very good for today.
I put it right behind me, and the 1st of October became the 1st of November, and the 1st of November became the 1st of December. My board bill was a perfect horror. My shoes, I hope no manager would notice them. Well, maybe try Billy Shine again. He was in a little crumbled 3-story building over on 44th Street, and I walked up 2 flights of stairs. Couldn't believe my eyes. It was crowded. The office was crowded. They were out in the hall. I said, what is it? One of the extras said, it's a big call the day after tomorrow at Murray's Hanging Gardens, 7 a.m. in the morning. 200 extras wanted ball gown and white tie and tails. Ball gown meant $5 for the day. Everyday dress, $2.50. Ball gown, $5. And 200 people were going to work. Well, just stood there breathless, and the door to private opened. Out came Mr. Billy Shine, and even in his shirt sleeves, he was a snappy dresser. You, he said, you. Didn't worry. 200 extras, he wasn't going to engage them all today. Come back tomorrow, a little bit of red rouge on my lip, wear my red coat. Tomorrow, you. Didn't worry me. Tomorrow, show up at Murray's Hanging Gardens. A big call, everybody doesn't come. Have my ball gown in my suitcase. Murray's Hanging Gardens. Next morning, more. Great. Would you go out if you had a coat for $5? Great. Murray's Hanging Gardens. It was warm, it was bright, it was dry. As far as the eye could see, there were damask-covered tablecloths, ladies in ball gowns, the fellas in white tie and tails, waiters going with big pitchers of coffee, pouring at every table, and the dance floor at Murray's Hanging Gardens revolved slowly. Oh, wonderful. Sit here, one of the extras said to me. Well, I said, I'm not hired. I'm just hoping. Oh, he said, you'll be hired. Loads of people won't show up. The waiter poured me some coffee. From behind me, somebody said, what's in the suitcase? I turned around. It was Mr. Billy Shine. My ball gown, I said. He said, did I hire you? I said, no, but I thought. He said, that way. And I said, where I change? He said, no, where it says exit. X-I-T. Get out of here. Get the hell out of here. Go. Well, 200 pairs of eyes watching. I thought I wouldn't go across the dance floor. I'd go round the side. Go this way, said Mr. Billy Shine. I want to see you go. I don't want you to hide. I bumped my suitcase against the table. Excuse me, I said. I stepped on somebody's foot. Excuse me. Now I was on the revolver. You with the suitcase. Can you hear me? Yes, I said. He said, don't never come back to where I am, or I personally will see you never will. I was off the dance floor. I went through tables, out past the bright lights to where it was dim. Wait, said the doorman. It's coming down. My voice stuck. I was out on 42nd Street in the rain. Out, I could hear. Out. Exit. E-X-I-T. I'll personally see you never were. Even that horrible morning, I did not believe.